Many of us know the weight of imposter syndrome, the quiet dread of being exposed as a fraud. We burn immense amounts of energy people-pleasing, carefully managing our outward appearance to hide a chaotic internal reality. Few historical figures embodied this tension more vividly than the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung. To the public, he was a pillar of absolute intellectual authority. In secret, he was suffocating behind his own prestige. This divide started early. As a solitary child, Jung felt profoundly isolated and coped by splitting his identity. He believed he harbored two distinct personalities. Number one was a typical modern schoolboy, while number two was a dignified, authoritative man from the 18th century. Maintaining a flawless external image while ignoring your internal reality is a fragile balancing act. When you sacrifice the truth of your own mind to appease the expectations of the world, a break becomes inevitable. Jung's early career was defined by rapid, brilliant success. Working as a research scientist at the Berg-Holzli Psychiatric Hospital in Zurich, he established himself as an influential mind in the field. His work caught the attention of the founder of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud. After a legendary 13-hour initial conversation, the two formed an intense bond. Freud saw the younger Jung as his intellectual heir, a relationship steeped in intimidating patriarchal authority. To please his mentor, Jung relied heavily on what he would later call the persona. Derived from the Latin word for a theatrical mask, the persona is the consciously created identity we wear to adapt to society's expectations. But the ideological cracks began to show. Freud strictly viewed the unconscious mind as a biological warehouse of repressed trauma and sexual drives. Jung, conversely, studied mythology and religion, concluding that the unconscious was a powerful creative wellspring of human meaning. In 1913, Jung published his dissenting views, knowing it would fracture their relationship. Outgrowing your mentors and discarding the rigid doctrines they demand you follow is a painful yet necessary requirement for intellectual survival. The schism cost Jung his community and nearly his sanity. He plunged into a period of extreme psychological strain, likened to a night sea journey. He heard voices and experienced apocalyptic visions, quietly worrying to himself that he was facing a severe psychotic break. Rather than medicating or fleeing his waking nightmares, Jung chose to map them. He developed a method called active imagination, where he deliberately entered waking fantasy states to engage directly with the terrifying imagery rising from his unconscious. Through deep introspection, he identified the shadow, repressed, unacceptable instincts hidden beneath the polished persona. Ignoring the shadow triggers psychological projection. We instinctively cast our denied dark traits onto others, forming the root of prejudice, paranoia, and irrational hatred. This internal war raged precisely as the external world tore itself apart in World War I. While navigating his psychological collapse, Jung was actually serving on active duty as an officer in the Swiss Army. His time in uniform, juxtaposed against his mental crisis, crystallized a sobering thought. The most dangerous monsters are rarely external enemies. They are the unintegrated, ignored pieces of our own minds. For years, Jung meticulously documented these raw confrontations with his psyche in a secret, heavily illustrated manuscript, now known as the Red Book. Jung noticed his personal visions mirrored ancient global myths. He concluded humanity shares a collective unconscious, a deep psychological root system beneath individual experiences. Within this foundation live archetypes, innate, universal blueprints shaping human behavior across all cultures and time. To navigate this deep architecture, Jung identified specific archetypal figures. The anima, or animus, serves as a crucial internal bridge, connecting the conscious ego directly to the deepest layers of the unconscious psyche. This mapping reframes personal mental crises. What looks like an isolated breakdown is often an ancient human narrative reasserting itself through a modern individual. Having survived his descent, Jung returned to the ordinary world. He spent the remainder of his long life translating the symbolic, emotionally saturated language of his visions into practical clinical therapy. He mapped out how consciousness functions, introducing the concepts of introversion and extroversion. While corporate consultants later borrowed these terms to create the modern MBTI personality test, Jung's original intent was far deeper than workplace categorization. His ultimate goal for human development was individuation. This is the arduous, lifelong process of differentiating yourself from the collective crowd and successfully uniting your conscious and unconscious elements into a single cohesive whole. Crucially, psychological wholeness is not achieved by being entirely good or morally pure. It is achieved through a delicate balance that finally acknowledges and respects our inherent contradictions. In Jungian psychology, this integrated totality is known as the self. Unlike the ego, which is just the center of your conscious mind, the self is the central, overarching archetype of your entire personality, encompassing both the light and the dark. We spend decades curating digital masks of success, achievement, and constant happiness. Jung's work suggests that this exclusive focus on polishing the persona inevitably starves the deeper psyche, leaving us technically perfect, yet spiritually exhausted. We only become truly whole human beings by bravely exploring our own darkness, rather than continually running from it. Yet, a responsible warning remains. While Jungian self-reflection offers a powerful map for personal growth, the unconscious is vast and chaotic. Confronting true psychological darkness is a perilous journey and often requires the safety of a professional therapeutic guide.